Well, now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in a RISE analyst, Dr. Constance Ikwogu. Dr. Constance, good morning.
Good morning, Yolanda.
Good morning.
Let's get the day started.
The oracle of the headlines.
Oracle. Another title.
Tomorrow you have a new one.
I know.
Be ready.
Anchor, reviewer, oracle.
001.
Yeah, 001.
Oh yes, let's not forget that one.
And many more. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well.
Yes,
Indeed.
we're good, thank
We're
you.
good.
Well, we already started the day by 6 a.m. So
Right.
we're just continuing. If you're just joining us, hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with This Day newspaper. The themes that dominate front pages today include ongoing violence, fresh police action and ransom demands, party politics and internal crisis, governors switching parties or political alignments, union strikes, military accountability, and government policy, among others. This morning, This Day writes about the alleged military coup last year that has now been confirmed by the military. 16 officers will be court-martialed following investigations. On politics, the All Progressives Congress has responded to speculations regarding the fate of Vice President Kashim Shettima in next year's election. The party has asked everyone to desist from conjectures about VP candidates for 2027. On the window, Lagos Revenue Service activates power of substitution to boost tax recovery. Leadership leads with the fallout of Governor Abba Yusuf's defection to the APC, with reports that his deputy faces an uphill battle for refusing to cross over with his boss. Bandits that kidnapped citizens in Kuruminwale are demanding 250 million naira, 20 motorcycles to release abductees, revealing the depth of the security problem we face. New Telegraph reports that the military will try officers that plan to overthrow President Tinubu. Opposition is also raising the alarm over non-implementation of the 2025 budget, and Benue APC crisis deepens as two factions launch e-registration exercise. Daily Independent, Governor Abba Yusuf claims that rejoining APC is good for his state. Soludo shut Onitsha market over sit-at-home, and UK property case, Attorney General takes over Ezekiel's prosecution. Marwa reveals that 15 million Nigerians use hard drugs. And NLC FCTA workers storm court, demand Wike's sack. Vanguard focuses on the VP 2027 ticket, with APC dismissing those speculations. And gunmen abduct 26 in Zamfara communities, set shops ablaze. On the economy, CBN upgrades OPay, MoneyPoint, others to national licenses. Daily Sun has gone with customs surpassing its 2025 revenue target by 697 billion naira. It has hit 7.2 trillion naira profit. The face-off between Governor Adeleke of Osun State and ex-Governor Oyetola continues as Adeleke shares concern about illegal tenure elongation of local councils. He has accused Oyetola of using the police to lay siege on council secretariats. Daily Trust leads with the aftermath of the defection of Governor Abba Yusuf. Here, Ganduje, Barau have now closed ranks with Yusuf ahead of 2027. The paper has reports that the indicted coup plotters will face death penalty. The Guardian focuses on the impact of rent spike, which is above yearly income in major cities. Many residents are on the brink, the piece says. The Punch reports that a presidential panel has recommended a freeze on 1 trillion naira rice imports, and over 400,000 people jostle for 50,000 police jobs. Moving on to the international headlines, kicking off with Daily Mirror. Core themes across front pages here include Labour Party divisions, Suella Braverman's defection to Reform UK, and some broader news topics. So Daily Mirror leads with Suella Braverman quitting the Conservatives to join Reform UK, featuring Nigel Farage welcoming her, and Labour figures attacking the move as Reform drawing disaffected Tories. Newspaper writes about conservative withdrawal of controversial mental health comment about Braverman after her defection to Reform UK. The Times has the same political focus of Labour internal crisis, fears that Labour could fall behind both Reform UK and the Greens in the Gorton and Denton by-election after blocking Andy Burnham from standing. Daily Express leads with Holocaust Memorial Day and Holocaust survivor Eva Clark urging action on rising anti-Semitism. In Daily Mail, pressure on Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer grows after more than 50 Labour MPs protest his decision to block Andy Burnham from parliamentary return or rerun. Daily Telegraph front page has conservative security espionage concerns would report that a long-running Chinese espionage operation allegedly compromised phones of senior UK officials. Financial Times headline is about currency and markets. The US dollar fell to a 4-month low. Gold hit records and the yen strengthened amid market bets. Broader economic and financial news leads. Now let's see what this headline means. In this day newspaper, that alleged coup last year has now been confirmed by the military. The affected officers will face a general court-martial. The Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaila Oba, issued a statement in which he made it known that 16 officers were arrested and investigated over acts of indiscipline and breaches of service regulations. Gbenga, what institutional failures allow coup plotters to surface, and what does this say about the current state of affairs in Nigeria today?
Well, I think this news broke out in October, and there was a strong denial from the Nigerian military as an institution. I see the denial as a catch-22 situation, actually coming from different angles. One, security situations are such that you don't run on the headlines. But again, there is also the overriding principle of transparency and accountability, in which the military also is not an exception to the public. So when we have this kind of situation of 60 military officers now held on the indicted for coup plotting after being denied. So which one do we get to hold on to? These are the ambiguities that come and the implications that come with first of all, lying, because this is an outright lie to the public, and now coming back to say that this is the situation. So when you come tomorrow to say the situation is not this, how do you expect the public to believe you? But now they are saying that they are going to be tried, and everything is going to emphasize a disciplinary measure, and also to emphasize the professionalism of the Nigerian military. But the fact is that this thing came out in October. I think it could have been better managed, and the military is a crucial institution in the country, and it has to uphold that integrity that it stands for as a crucial part of our democratic institution. So I think that they don't need that conflicting and controversial narrative that it has put in the public space.
You know, one of the questions that this brings up for me is, what could the possible reasons be for keeping this under wraps? Because, I mean, we've seen a lot in the region lately where there's been a lot of coup attempts, and even when we do see those, they are reported immediately, because obviously that acts in the best interest of everybody to know what is going on, to have the full picture of what is happening. So I just wonder what could be the reason why this was kept under wraps, and not just kept under wraps, but why was it denied for so long? It's very obvious that in a coup attempt that is of military backing,
Indeed.
they would face, military judiciary. So what could be the possible reasons? That's the only thing that I can think of.
Well, a lot is going on behind doors, as you said, and in front of the doors or outside them. So, but the moment when you think about it throws Nigeria back to those dark days of military rule, of rumors of coup plots, which dominated national life around that period. Officers were arrested in the shadows, trials often secretive, and ended careers, lives, and sometimes the very people you talk about. So this says that they will be court-martialed and tried. Hopefully it's not secretive, but it just revives memories of fear, uncertainty, and the brutal consequences of power struggles within the military that repeatedly derailed Nigeria's democratic experience in the past. Remember that the Nigerian Armed Forces held power in Nigeria from 1966 to 1999. There was an interruption from 1979 to 1983. And most of the people that were involved in those military coups, they've come back to become part of the democratic process, whether as military presidents or at various levels of governance, political governance in the country. So why would there be a planned military coup after all these years of democracy? We have to look at, what is going on, the current state of affairs in the country. Typically, there's a mix of things going on. There's a mix of severe economic hardship, elite factional conflict, which is very, very high in Nigeria. There's breakdown of civil-military trust and a perception, whether right or wrong, that the civilian governance has lost legitimacy and control. If you remember, during the 2023 elections, or after that election, there was a tussle about whether those elections were rightly conducted, whether they were free and transparent, and the opposition went to court regarding that. And that's simmered for quite a while, and it has not died completely, because what you hear from a lot of Nigerians is that they've lost hope in the electoral process. They do not believe in government. They do not believe that this government has legitimacy. And so going forward, what do you do with that? So this is the context within which all this is happening, and it's also happening across West Africa, as we have seen in some countries where military coup has happened. In Nigeria, it was nipped in the bud. So this message is ultimately to the government. It is a message to the government saying you have to deliver economic relief to the people. Life has become extremely expensive in the past 2 years, so the president must govern in a different way that really delivers the results to people.
And I think this also underscores some political implications, because every military coup do have civilian sponsors. So who are the sponsors of this coup? They should also, are they going to be tried under the Military Act, or they are going to be tried under the usual court process? So they should go out, they should take a step further to let us know who are the civilian sponsors involved in this coup plot. Because you recall that some months ago, there was reports over former Bayelsa State Governor Timipre Silva. And after a while, we didn't hear a follow-up on
that
this.
faded, yes. Okay, let's take the second story in this day. The All Progressives Congress has responded to speculations regarding the fate of Vice President Kashim Shettima in next year's election. They denied any plot to drop him. The story is speculative, untrue, and baseless, says the party. One wonders if this denial is about unity, or is it about buying time while the party takes electoral and regional calculations for 2027. If the APC is so categorical about retaining Vice President Kashim Shettima, why has the rumor of dropping him gained so much traction? And what does that say about internal power negotiations ahead of 2027? Any comment, very quick?
Yeah, I think this is a prelude year to the main election year. So this kind of a situation brings a lot of speculations, horse trading and all that. But I think that more importantly and fundamentally, Northern politics is deeply rooted in the politics of identity and civics participation. So I don't think that APC would want to take that risk of gambling into 2027 race after having a winning team.
They've just told you to stop speculating. They don't want you to talk about it anymore. So they said there's nothing like that. So let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. Moving on to Daily Sun. Soludo shuts Onitsha market for 1 week over Monday sit at home. The traders had defied the government's directive to open on Mondays in spite of repeated assurances of security by the government. The governor sees this action as rebellion. He was quoted as saying, "The enemy is the long-standing, fear-enforced Monday sit-at-home order, a ghostly mandate from non-state actors that has strangled businesses and normalized weekly Monday sit-at-home for years. You either decide that you are going to trade here or you go somewhere else. I'm very serious about this," end of quote. Yolanda,
Yes.
do you think the governor can pull this off?
Well, those are very heavy sentiments. Part of the report also said that if the market fails to reopen after 1 week, the closure will be extended to 1 month. Now, some traders have actually welcomed what was being said by the governor's, stance, because it was very firm, even just hearing the words from the report. But at the same time, there's also this probability of violence breaking out if this is to go on. So it's a push and pull in both ways, because there's really no way to cut it. But then you also beg to ask the question, is this initiative long overdue? How long will this region continue to go through, this continued disruption?
Well, this is not the first time, over the years.
Over years.
Not only Anambra State, different state governors, they've had it in Enugu State, where the governor said you cannot continue to sit at home. But for many people, it is out of fear. So what the Anambra State governor is trying to do here is to assert state authority over non-state coercion, because this is non-state actors giving those orders. So it's a hard pushback against what he has seen as normalization of this sit at home every Monday in the state. But this reveals the level of popularity of Nnamdi Kanu.
That's very true.
Even he's more popular than any of the state's governors, who some people think or say that although they're so elected, well, most of them are not seen as leaders of the Southeast. So when he's in prison, there are a lot of people that have also taken advantage of him being in prison or held by the DSS for many years to unleash mayhem on people.
That's right.
In the name of Nnamdi Kanu, and that is part of what the governor is saying. So at this time, many non-state actors use that opportunity, and he does not want that to continue. The state government recognizes all these challenges and how it has hurt public life and economic activity in the state and across the region. So he's taking a high-risk gamble, that's the sense to me, in terms of economic and social costs. While he's saying that this is restoring order, the policy punishes traders who are already facing hard times, low consumer demand, and, facing the battle of the economy in the market. So how this pans out would depend on how he handles it, whether this will deepen resentment against him and push people to continue to see Nnamdi Kanu as the true leader of people in that region.
I also think that that approach needs to be tinkered with properly, because you don't cut the nose. You don't cut the nose to spite the eyes. I think that he could assert his leadership on the state by giving a clear order that there should be no Monday sit at home, and picket on those traders at default, rather than having an outright closure of Onitsha Market. Onitsha Market is like the economic oxygen of Anambra State, and they can't afford to play any trial and error in the name of trying to assert the leadership of the state. I think that they should have adopted a better measure, not a weak and a cost implication, the cost-benefit analysis of closing down such a commercial nerve center in the state is very, very far-reaching.
All right, let's see how that goes. Leadership newspaper: bandits that kidnap citizens in Kurminwali are demanding 250 million naira and 20 motorcycles to release them. Over 100 worshippers were kidnapped on January 17 from 3 churches. The village head said the bandits had accused the community of stealing 17 motorcycles, which they allegedly lost during recent military operations in Kajuru local government area of the state. That's just an excuse. I mean, the scale and audacity of this demand is unbelievable. 250 million naira and motorcycles, I mean, they're really emboldened, and we can see that it's a commercially organized group that have become so bold, operating less like fugitives and more like armed enterprises that openly set terms for the state, exposing gaps in security in the state. I mean, they're taking territorial control. This is what this means. So it's a dangerous incentive if they get what they want. They just go back to the bush. So meeting such demands only just continues to bankroll them. We've said that many times. Yes. But I don't know how the governor is going to handle this particular situation, and it's leading to a loss of control.
And Dr. Constance, you are right. This is an enterprise in itself. This is a business. It's a money-making scheme. And it's very unfortunate that it's so outright in the open and so blatant. You remember when we took a report last week about how Ubasani was pledging to establish a military base, and we were trying to analyze and look at the different aspects
well,
of
he cannot establish a military base, but he can ask the federal government to do so.
Yes,
so I think that's what he meant.
Yes, I understand that part. But I mean, even the fact that, you know, that is in the talks, is that not putting, you know, going too far ahead? Look at the immediate problem that we have right now. The fact that they're so blatantly saying what they want in terms of money and motorcycles. I mean, who does that? The last time we had another report where we had these bandits that were showing video footage of them saying all the things that they get during the negotiations with the government. This is such a shame. I mean, local residents have also come out and said in part of the reports that the authorities were trying to suppress information and to intimidate them as well. So it's a very scary place that we find ourselves, because it seems like there's no way out. There absolutely is no solution that seems to be brought forward in terms of, you know, bringing solutions that are very, you know, long lasting.
I think I can't agree with both of you, Les, when both of you outlined and emphasized that the bandits have built an enterprise on ransom taking and all that. And I see it as institutional and state capture, if you ask me. Because one is the response, the government's response to this issue. It's clear that the country faces an existential threat, and which makes it look like some parts of the country are clearly under siege. So when there was an outcry that this kind of thing had happened by some communities in Kaduna, especially the Christian community in Kaduna, when they made this report, there was initial gamble, there was initial back and forth over whether this is true or not. Right. So this must have placed the bandits
denial as well.
Yes, this must have placed the bandits at an advantage now and making it difficult for recovery and the recovery of these hostages to take place, of these abductees to take place. So that is why they are coming out so brazenly to demand 250 million naira. I wonder if abductions now is being gazetted in the national budget of the country, because this has been a consistent pattern. So I think the state of emergency declared by the president some months ago last year had only been a beautiful piece of illustration, and rhetoric. It has not, yes, rhetoric, it has not been matched with the action that is needed.
Just creates a vicious cycle and strengthens their network. Let's take some international stories. Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, says she has had enough of orders from Washington, D.C. Rodriguez took over president earlier this month after U.S. forces captured Nicolas Maduro and whisked him off to the U.S. for trial. President Donald Trump had at first declared that the U.S. was going to run Venezuela, but after he appeared to back down, giving his backing to Rodriguez to take office as an interim leader. Enough already, quote, enough already of Washington's orders over politicians in Venezuela. Let Venezuelan politics resolve our differences and internal conflicts. Enough of foreign powers, Rodriguez was quoted as saying. She continued, we are not afraid, because what must unite the people is guaranteeing peace and stability for this country, end of quote. Yolanda, does Rodriguez have what it takes to withstand Donald Trump? It's the same way Nicolas Maduro was boasting about his country before he was kidnapped by the U.S.
It's ironic that you asked that question, because I had as myself put down that same question in my notes when I was preparing for this headline. Does Venezuela have enough backbone to make visible strides against Trump? And it doesn't look like it right now. We are actually seeing this shift that either some would say is coming a little too late, and others are saying could be coming a little bit too soon, depending on which side of the coin you're standing on. You know, Trump has been very overt with his, self-assertion, his self-assigned designation over Venezuelan oil. And I think Rodriguez would need to put up a better front, more than just words at this point. It's barely been a month that this has happened. It's been 3 weeks since Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured and whisked away to New York. So, I mean, at this point, it's a waiting game, but at the same time, Venezuela needs to do so much more than just put out these type of statements.
Well,
she'll have to negotiate her way out of this.
Indeed.
Because it's a tough one. What does U.S. want? Oil and money. The Trump administration continues to push to allow for greater investment of U.S. companies, energy companies in that country, and it's partially succeeding. From what we know, Venezuela's legislature is already debating a loosening of state control over the country's vast oil sector.
Yes.
And this is the first major haul since the socialist leader Hugo Chavez nationalized parts of the industry in 2007. So this is a big deal that is happening. Clearly, the legislators, I mean, this is an attempt to appease President Donald Trump. So if Rodriguez does not play ball, there are other things that Trump can do within this country. It's like he holds the knife and the yam. So the hands of Rodriguez are tied here, and we'll see, how this pressure continues to mount on her and what it turns out to be. For
me, I think it's rather an overlapping reality from the internal crisis prevailing in Venezuela to the external reality in the international arena. Now we can see that from the internal reality of America, that is indebted heavily with about $37 trillion, its external debt profile, and we have Venezuela that has the largest oil reserve in the world, 303 billion barrels of oil. I think there is a political option for Venezuela to either create a shift in alliance, and I think that might be a potential origin. Yes, that might be a potential origin for to provide alternative source of oil supply, and even you can see that they are also trying to embark on a gas supply exports also to provide alternative to some of these world powers. So because we can't, I don't think that Venezuela will want to open its eye to say. But now we also look at the legitimacy of Delcy Rodriguez also, because there have been pressure for them to be for the country to conduct a political transition and election in Venezuela. So now there's a bit of reluctance in which Machado has been championing for, because she believes that she has that political clout to win an election in Venezuela. So those are the internal.
Isn't that a stretch? Isn't that a stretch?
But these are the internal realities that are playing out within Venezuela. That is also holding a lot of significant external pressure on the country.
Yeah. Let's go to the UK. Our former UK Home Secretary Suella Braverman defects from the Conservative Party to Reform UK, ending her 30-year membership of the party. Speculations have been swirling for 18 months. Now it has come to pass. It comes on the heels of the high-profile defections from the Conservative Party, someone like Robert Jenrick. They join Nadim Zahawi, Lee Anderson, Nadine Dorries, and Danny Kruger among the Conservatives that have joined Reform UK in the last 2 years. UK politics seems to be in crisis. We're seeing third world stuff happening over there. There is, this is a big one for Nigel Farage and his hard right party, isn't it, Yolanda?
Absolutely, and Braverman became Reform's UK's 8th MP to defect in just a week, in the space of a week. So she's also accused the Conservative Party of breaking promises, said it left the building, that was a quote, and that's no longer reflecting the values that she believed in. But I think we're just seeing a lot of politics at play. It's a very similar landscape to what we see and what is going on in Nigeria. People are now aligning and realigning, and I mean, it's within her right to change her mind and say that this no longer aligns with me. The Conservative Party is no longer serving me. So she's, you know, jumping ship. And yes, it's quite frightening and scary for those who have, you know, known the track record in the past. You know, there's so many different opinions depending on which side of the coin that you stand. But all in all, I think she's within her right to change her mind, and we're going to see a lot of shifts ahead of the elections that are coming. Definitely.
I mean, the Reform UK is now shaping up as the beautiful bride ahead of the elections. And the defection of high-profile figures from the Conservative Party to Reform UK just signals a deep crisis of identity on the British right. Reform UK is to the hard right, so it's reflecting the frustrations that people have in the Tory party, in the leadership, in what's been going on for many years now, in the perceived ideological drift of the party, in what they see as policy inconsistency, electoral fatigue, and all of that. So there's a lot going on there. So these defections also legitimizes the Reform UK as more than a protest party, which it used to be, and is accelerating its ascension as a party that may become the mainstream. And I think this is what is actually going on, while at the same time the Tories are being fragmented further. And when you look at the background of Asuela Braverman, she was former Home Secretary. She was removed at some point because she was replaced because it was felt that she was diverging from the policy of the party or from what the party believes in. She says that she has been, over the years, unfairly treated, and that's why she is leaving.
That's a fair.
I mean, the party won't lose sleep over it. At the same time, it just shows that there's much work to be done within the Tories, and Kemi Badenoch's leadership is under question.
I was about to mention that as well. I was about to mention Kemi Badenoch. I don't know, Venga, you might have a comment there.
The UK
one
economy, the UK economy has come under a lot of economic uncertainty, and a heavily taxed polity like the UK. I think most of this shift of allegiance will reflect the economic options that is available for the UK economic future. So that's what we have seen playing out significantly in the economic life of the UK and translating into the political space.
All right, those were your headlines for today. We'll be bringing you more on all the stories that we've just discussed this morning.